everybody. Welcome to the Pej Pod. Hopefully, you've been listening along to all of our episodes so far. So if you haven't, please go check them out. It's been so fun. This is our 17th one, which is crazy. If you're new, my name is Pauline. I'm joined with my co-host, Eugene and John, who are all wedding and portrait photographers. And we're here to chat about life, work, and photography related things, such as this episode, photography related for sure. So this week, I'm just going to go right away because I think it's going to be a long one. So this week, we're going to talk about something that has been going on in the news, and it did spark, quite a big debate in our, chat. And so we thought we would take it on and record it and see how it goes because, I think it could go many ways. And I think maybe a lot of people would have an opinion as well. So it's kind of going to be interesting to hear what other people think. So yes, it's all about the national park permits and whether or not, we agree or not. So Eugene, you want to go ahead and kind of introduce like the backstory, how it came about, and what's been going on in the news?
Okay, so I think very first sort of like step that happened was this case, Price versus Barr. Price is a videographer, and I think he filmed in one of the national preserve, and he released it on YouTube. And the National Park Service found out, and they fined him, and he sued National Park Service for that, for the First Amendment, that he should have the right to film in a public land and all that. And the U.S. District Court of D.C. actually held the Price's side, so the National Park Service couldn't have the permit since January 22nd of 2021 until August 23rd of 2022. So almost for a year and a half. In August of 2022, the appellate court overturned the U.S. District Court by saying the act of filming is not itself a communicative activity that is protected under the First Amendment. So apparently it doesn't apply. So since then, so that's been about, what's that, 4 months and then 3 months. So about 7 months. Now it's that all the national park services, that all the videographers have to get a permit if it's for the commercial reasoning. We'll get into the details of the photography side of things, because photography side of things is not affected with this case. So the whole sort of like this debate sort of started when we started sharing this news, and that John was
Yeah.
saying he's well. Actually, John, you go ahead. You tell us about your stance.
So my stance about this is because Price, he was a one man. He was like a small crew, like maybe he's just himself. I'm just saying that he is right. It is unconstitutional for like a single person to come to the national park and not be able to freely film, even if he follows the rules like any other visitors of the national parks. Initially, the reason why the national park system or the why were they why is there a permit system to begin with was because when they started filming movies over at national parks like the Star Wars and Star Trek, it is for those bigger sets because obviously there's going to be more impact with the environment. That actually makes sense, right? For me, my stance was for a smaller crew, like maybe less than five. I was saying that what's the difference between a family of five visiting the national park compared to a group of five having their cameras and having their cameras on video mode? All of a sudden, they're violating a law. It doesn't seem fair, and that's where I'm coming from. And it just the way they worded things on the rules just seems very very restrictive and also very hard to enforce because anybody that comes into the national park, if you put your phone into the video mode, all of a sudden you're not allowed to do that because they specified TikTokers and YouTubers. So if you're a person trying to enjoy the national park, you walk in there, try to snap a video, and you upload it to YouTube or TikTok. Doesn't matter if you're trying to monetize it, because YouTube probably monetize it. TikTok will probably monetize it. Doesn't matter if you get money out of it. You're violating the law. And it also they were also saying that they most likely won't chase you. It says there their focus and their focus is on the bigger production crew, but still that's kind of like a gray area that they can like choose pick and choose who they're gonna prosecute.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was my issue about it. I feel like it's not fair the way they're doing it.
So does
Yeah.
the law then state like what specific type of gear used for it, or is it just
No,
anything?
as long as
Okay. See, that's where it is
It's
gray.
a big
Like
issue,
it's
yeah.
so
so
Yeah.
yeah,
it's so
at the moment,
generic
as
and
long as
Exactly.
yeah.
it's a commercial, then you're supposed to get a permit.
Yeah. And nowadays commercial is a it's a vague
Yeah.
term nowadays. Commercial, everybody can be commercial
Hmm.
because of the fact that it's so easy to to make money out of like YouTube and TikTok and whatever.
Mhm.
Even if you're not really, if you're just an individual. How about you, Eugene? What's your
So
yeah.
obviously the whole reason that we're doing the podcast is if we agreed on it, we probably won't be doing it.
Yeah.
Well, we could still be
Yeah.
doing it because I think it's good to kind of know
Yeah.
what the rules are and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
Exactly.
yeah, no,
Definitely.
I'm full permit. In terms of, I'm not saying in terms of like we have to kind of restrict everyone. Like, I know there are a lot of gray areas, like in terms of what could happen, what couldn't happen, and who to go after and who not to go after. Like for example, like I said, photography is not included. So if we're making money as a photographer, like why shouldn't we be different to any videographers? That I feel like that part is something that I'm sure national parks and whomever wants to get the money, or they will probably be change the laws in the near future. But I think my whole principle is on an ethical issues, because the whole reason national park system was created was to protect those nature. I feel, one, to go off as what John was explaining, like in terms of five family members versus five photographers or videographers, like why, if they're making money as a videographers, why should they get the permit? Is is really coming down from myself, like my own experience. I think when I was not a photographer, like when I was not creating an image or something for my client, then I would get a shot that I would be suffice. But when I'm trying to create an image for a client, then I'm always trying to create a image that will stand out among all the photographers who were at that spot or at that national park. So I'm trying to always trying to do a little bit different. I'm trying to maybe use flashlight. I'm maybe trying to go into a little bit deeper into woods or into wherever. And then we're always trying to make it a little bit more enticing for our couples and for our clients. And I think that's where the real issue happens. And as a national, for a national park that who wants to protect, if if there's money entitled to it in terms of like what, like if we're doing it for a job, if we that's an opportunity to create more future jobs and all that, we always trying to do something a little bit more than the regular visitors. And I feel like that would probably destroy the national park a little bit quicker, and to probably get in the way of the regular visitors a little bit more. I'm sure there are plenty of photographers and videographers who do their job really well, be out of the way, be very mindful of people, be very mindful of the environment. But I just feel like we're not like that. That I think that's just a human nature thing. So whether the rangers catch us or not, I think just by having a permit, One, I've gone through quite a few permit processes, and I feel like going through permit processes is easy enough that we should be able to get it. Then, and second, they let us know in terms of like which area in the national park that they're working on because of recent flood or recent issues. Then we can stay away from those sensitive areas. So we're well educated. And thirdly, we're paying them. Hopefully, they can recruit more rangers. They can educate the children a little bit more in terms of what the National Park Service do. Um, and I'm sure, hopefully, the money will be well spent in that way. That's why, even if they don't catch us, it's just an ethical. Like if you feel like if there is a permit system and if you feel like you're against the permit and well, I'm not saying you as a John, but you as in like general photographers or videographers. So if they feel that they don't really need to get it, and if they get away with it, you know, hopefully they don't. But at the same time, that's on them. Like that's not for me to say like, they should do better to catch them. And with any YouTube or TikTokers, like now that now that because they're online present, like if someone were to report them, they'll get the tickets.
For permits, how much are they on average, would you say?
100 plus for insurance. So usually you would have to get separate liability insurance. So that could be another 20-30 bucks. It will depend, but I would say that would be the minimum.
Okay.
But the way I deal with my clients with anywhere that needs permit is that I tell the clients in advance that we need a permit to shoot here. Are you okay with paying permit fee? And if they're not
Hmm.
okay, then we go somewhere else. And if they are okay, they pay the permit. So, but the point I was going to bring up was that like right now in the U.S. National Park Service, there are 424 units in the U.S. and then 109 parks charge entrance fee. So the rest of the 313, 315 don't charge entrance fee. That could be a national park, national preserve, a lot of all the area that has national in front. But those are all
It's under,
yeah,
yeah, it's under national,
yeah.
yeah,
So
national park system.
and yeah, so they are very underfunded in terms of wherever the money is coming from. But I feel like it's one of those things that that National Park Services. I think it's very important in terms of protecting the environment and protecting the beauty of it.
So my question is, like in Vegas, for example, do you need a permit to have a wedding outside?
Outside as in any park?
Just
No,
outdoors? Yeah,
no.
anywhere.
As if there
Interesting.
is if so we would have to check every park that we go to, because if it's a state park, then oftentimes that we do need a permit. But if it's just a
Hmm.
random park in the middle of the city, oftentimes we don't need a permit. But always we do always check in advance, so just to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, like the place that I shoot quite often is dry lake bed. It's literally it was a lake, but it's just dried up. So and over there,
Mm.
there's no permit necessary whatsoever, and that's very popular location for elopements, engagement sessions, and all that. So yeah. But every
Mm.
time I go to places like Valley of
Interesting.
Fire, that place is very strict on permits, so I have to get the permit like 30 days in advance.
Yeah, in Vancouver, just any park outside, you actually need to register for it. You need a permit, and they have like designated areas.
Mm.
For example, on the beach, you can
Mhm.
only have a wedding in this designated area. You can't just have it anywhere. So they are pretty strict on it. So I mean, I get that for sure, especially in like a fairly big
Mm.
city. You don't want to just take up like a public
Right.
space. And I was gonna kind of bring it to Canada, for example, in Banff National
Hmm.
Park. They have quite a few conditions for wedding ceremonies, especially. So in Banff, the maximum number of people that can be attending is
Oh
20,
wow.
and you have to obviously comply with their rules and the regulations of the
Mhm.
park. Everyone that attends have to need a park pass, so everyone needs that. I know that you can't have like loud music like if you were to have music, say walking down the aisle, it can only be like, very light, like a harp or a flute. So like nothing that will really attract, because you're out in nature. So I think they just don't want to attract like wild animals just to be safe. And you can't have like a lot of props. So the props that you are allowed would be just like a small registration table, a few chairs, and a wedding arch. But other than that, you can't have like, for example,
Mm.
sparklers or confetti or anything that's kind of brought outside into the park. So yeah, it's quite I guess strict, which I do agree with. And this could be a little bit different than kind of what we're
Yeah.
talking about, but I do think that because there are these restrictions and these rules, it definitely helps keep the
Yeah.
park, you
Well,
know,
that definitely makes sense though.
I have two
yeah,
questions from
Yeah.
that. Do you so you said everyone needs park entrance pass?
pass.
Is that
Yeah,
every individual or is it per car?
good question. I think it would be
Okay.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the thing with a lot of national parks here as well. It's per car. It's never per person
Hmm.
unless they're walking in. So
Yeah.
which often is not really possible. But yeah. And then I guess second question is, do they allow like any flowers, like the actual flowers? Like because I've heard from some of the European countries that they don't allow flowers that's not native in that area because apparently when they
Mm.
drop the
Mm,
petals
yeah.
or all that
Yeah.
could change the environment in nature. Yeah.
Good question. I think bouquet, maybe. I think it would be okay, but you wouldn't be able to like throw flowers or petals and have them lying on the altar or
Mm,
something. That's what I'm assuming. I have to look into that one, but yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the whole like leave no
yeah.
trace idea, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to not bring anything like not native to it. So I think it's all about, sustainability and
Yeah.
preserving,
Mm,
the land of how we found
yeah.
it. So yeah, so I guess my stance would be I agree with both of you. I think there needs to be, some restrictions, and whether
Yeah.
that is in terms of having a permit or not, I think, I think especially having entrance fees, I think it's good enough. And I think on top of that, I feel like everyone should take not like a quiz, but like some type of education to inform them of like
Yeah.
things like leave no trace, how to
Mhm.
properly,
Mm.
Yeah.
visit the park and, leave it, the way you found it type of thing. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot more that can be done for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Because I feel like at the end of the day, it's everybody's responsibility.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I honestly, even if there is past, then like I'm not 100% satisfied with what's happening. I understand that there could be not that big of a difference, but when there's no structure, which I think permit could bring some type of structure. I think if there's no structure, then there are more people who will be just like whatever. But by having some type of structure, then we learn as a business owner, but also we are educating our couples as well. Probably even the couples are very, they love the nature. That's probably why they want to be photographed or be, do their engagement sessions or even weddings in those places. It's always nice to kind of know what's actually happening. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I would definitely, there are definitely suggestions that I would like to include. For example, like I think, for example, like Valley of Fire, which is a state park of Nevada, that you could get one-time permit 30 days in advance for 100 and in total 150 plus the insurance, so it's almost like 200. Actually, no, it's not. Is it 75 plus 50? 75? Somewhere around there, 100 or 150, somewhere around there. But they also allow annual pass for 500. I think if national parks were to implement something like that, an annual pass, like on a base of like maybe that photographer or that videographers have been to that place and have gotten the permit before, then they're probably, hopefully, they're well educated enough that they will implement a lot of the practices that's going on in the national parks. And maybe if the national parks made the permit system a little bit easier, because I think a lot of people should be. I cannot assume, but I think a lot of people are okay paying paying the fees. I think it's about timing, because sometimes couples can ask us, "Oh, can we do photos at like Yosemite in like 2 weeks before?" And we just don't have enough time
Yeah.
to get the permit. In
Mm,
those situations, I think if we can get a permit, maybe on the day of, or maybe even, I don't know, a week before, or even at the gate,
yeah,
I think that would help out a lot. Um, but yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, because a lot of complaints are coming from also eh, everybody's feeling like the national park system is making it hard for everyone to just apply for
mm,
permits. So if they can make it more streamlined, like online, or they can purchase it from the gate, and also the other option is to have like a yearly pass of some sort, make it more streamlined.
yeah. I mean, like, my whole
Then
stance is entirely based on the educational side of things. I mean, the whole reason that we have National Park Service is because of protecting the nature. So, as long as people are educated in that sense, then I don't mind. And if everyone's educated, then like Pauline said, if everyone's educated and they do some kind of test, and and if they're okay not charging people for it, then I don't, then they can get rid of the permit.
yeah, instead of the permits, they can. Well, I guess there's still gonna be like the entrance fees, so they can still get revenue from that. If it's enough, I don't know.
I want to bring up another example of Yoho National
Mhm.
Park. So that one is even more strict. So I've been there once, and to get, I guess it's technically a permit, the way, I don't know if it's changed now, but a few years ago, the only way you can get the permit is to call.
Wow.
Mm,
And I think they limit to how many people can get into and enter the park. And so I think that's the reason why I called. I don't know how many times I called. I think I checked. I think I tried calling 500 times because they were busy or it didn't go through. And yeah, I think there was just like the one person picking up the phone.
mm,
So if they're already on the line, then
right,
that's why I called so many times.
right.
And I think you had to call within like at least like either it's 30 or 60 days or something. I
Mm,
forget when you want to go. I think in that sense, they just made it really difficult. But because they make it so hard to get into and get access, it makes it even more pristine, and
Mm.
right.
you kind of want it more. You want
Mm,
to. It's like when I got there, like you kind of realize like how much it took to get here, and you kind of have a different experience, right?
yeah,
Versus like Banff, for example, like everyone can get there. It's
yeah,
not saying it's not beautiful, but it's just being in Yoho, it's like, wow, not a lot of people have been here
yeah.
because it's so much harder to get here and be able to experience
S-
this park. So
Question: everyone is subjected to that, like not just photographers and
yeah, everyone.
everyone.
If
Okay,
you just
so
yeah,
that makes sense
so
then.
so
That
the
makes
only way you
sense.
can get there is actually they have a bus
Yeah,
shuttle. So that's basically what you're paying for to
yeah,
either get a shuttle up or you can hike.
yeah.
But even hiking, you have to pay to get there
Mm.
or be
Right.
there
Mhm.
anyways. And then I think most people go there for camping. I think you can go for like a day trip, but those like shuttles
Mm,
get booked up really fast because people want to just go for the day and not a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people want to like camp in the
Yeah.
backcountry. Yeah,
Yeah. When you're
yeah.
explaining, I was like, I was gonna ask, was it worth it? But yeah, always make it worth it.
Yeah, it was so worth it because, as I mentioned, it's just more, you're literally in nature. Not a lot of people, it's not like Banff National Park where you can just drive next
Yeah.
to the mountain
Hmm.
and then just walk out and hear all the like front country. Like everything's paved. There's, bathrooms. There's a gift shop,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Yoho, like I think you can even work there. There are some huts and stuff, but it's definitely more I guess exclusive in that sense. It wasn't expensive. I think I looked before this because I wanted to bring it up. I looked back at the receipt. It was only like maybe a little over 100 for two people, but that includes like the bus shuttle. It includes like being able to camp there.
Mm.
And I think in that sense, I'm definitely for having permits, even just to enter into any park, because like I said, it just made it
Yeah.
even more
Yeah.
amazing, the experience. So
So this is what I was suggesting to Eugene to one of our conversations, because like what I've said, it is everyone's responsibility. I just hate the fact that like the NPS is zoning out, focusing on
yeah.
photographers and filmers, wherein in reality it's really everyone's responsibility. If they want to limit impact on the footprint, they should do that, like really limit the amount of visitors that are coming into the national parks. But as what I've been seeing, that's not what's that is not what's been happening. They've been heavily advertising the visitation for national park system. So yeah, something's there's like a miss. Something's not making sense
Yeah, that
somehow.
and that's that to that. That's what I'm saying. Like that's coming from my own experience. Like as a professionals, as someone who charges money to our clients, I'm sure it would be nice to, in terms of responsibility. Yes, it is everyone's responsibility, but and it is nice to probably educate everyone, and I'm sure they're spending a lot of money on educating especially the children, like for the future generation,
Hmm.
to how to behave in the national parks and what to do and what not to do and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I feel like we as a professionals who make money tend to harm the environment a lot more than the regular visitors. And that's why I think, and as someone who charges money to photograph in those places, that's whole my idea of permit is we're just giving back to the place that we take pictures of, we take videography, with place that we make money from. So if they just increase the entrance rate to, I don't know, 100 and be okay with it, yeah, okay, fine. But I'm saying, as a personal experience, like we have a lot more responsibility than the regular visitors.
I guess another perspective would be, for example, say you have a wedding or even just a shoot in a specific venue. Most likely you're going to have to pay the venue to shoot there, right? So in this case, the parks and the nature is the venue. And so, why not pay to be there? Because technically it is free. Like, we just created all these rules and laws. Nobody really owns it, right? But we're just
Mhm.
trying to protect it. And so, if you think of it that way, that's like kind of our venue. We are paying to be there and shoot there. Maybe that can change the perspective. So, I do agree. Like, everyone, I think, should have to pay some sort of fee to be there because I don't know. I don't think it should just be free, right?
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, if it can be free and if everyone can be educated, I'm all for it. But I think in terms of in a world of capitalism, and I think money is always the quickest way to educate people.
Yeah. But I guess going back to, the original topic, I was just thinking like maybe one reason that it's specifically targeting just videographers is I think of those videos, especially those YouTube videos where people are filming specifically for, pranking or
yeah.
trying to break the law purposely. And so I could see where that becomes problematic. And that's why maybe they are targeting just videographers and people doing
Mm.
videos and film. Whereas like photography, one photo of someone breaking the law is not going to make as big of an impact versus, a full video of, them getting there and kind of going through that storyline and
Mm,
process. So maybe that's why. I'm
yeah.
not sure, but
And apparently, one of the reasons that in the national park permit system, about the regulation, that they target TikTokers and YouTubers is not TikTokers and
mhm.
YouTubers, etc. It's TikTokers and YouTubers. And
They really
apparently the
yeah,
reason
verbatim they really
reason
said that,
that
yeah.
Yeah.
is because that's included in the terms and conditions of TikTok and YouTube. That even if the channel on YouTube is not monetizing, as a company they're monetizing. So
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
post it on Instagram for your own personal reason. That's not a problem. But even if you post it as a personal reason on TikTok, that could be commercial.
Because yeah, because they're using it like TikTok and YouTube, even if you don't personally make money out of
Yeah.
it, then it becomes commercial because TikTok and yeah, YouTube will use
So
it.
the easiest way going forward is that, if any of the listeners who are listening to this, in terms of whether you're for or against the permit system, with the current regulation, the easiest way to go about it is that, as soon as you book a session, contact the national park as soon as possible. Hopefully, it's more than 30 days, and then Ask them what you're planning to do, how many people you're going to bring, and then ask them, do I need a permit for it? And if they say then you don't need a permit, then just have that in writing on the day of the shoot. Just you just never know. Not all the ranges are updated in terms of the regulations and all that. So just
Mm-hmm.
have it with you. That this is the email that I got back from the office, and that's what I'm sticking to, and then you should be fine. But any video related stuff, because you bring your own clients, that is regarded as commercial videography. So whether that's just for the highlight films or anything, so you have to get the permit.
If
I'm assuming you have to get the permit.
yeah, if you're planning to post on YouTube or TikTok, you will have a permit. You will need a permit. But if you're not happy about that, and if you feel like they need to fix the regulations, there's a way. You have to contact your congressman and write them a letter. I guess if you're against it, if you think this is unconstitutional, then write them a letter. Tell them how it's impacting your freedom of speech. You're not able to.
Are you going to?
You're not able to post on YouTube or TikTok. Then yeah,
Are you going to?
It's really funny actually because I feel like this is only happening in the States.
yeah.
Because from what I know, I don't know, I haven't really traveled that much and, taken photos of clients in like other places, but I don't feel like a lot of countries have these such a thing. Like they don't really even have park permits or, entrance fees really like the way
Yeah.
we do here in North America. But yeah, it's interesting to see how
Honestly, a
That,
lot
it's
of
that,
the
different.
countries,
yeah.
like at least including Canada, but a lot of the European countries, I feel like paying more tax is covering that in some degree. But
Yeah.
because it's not US is not really heavily taxed country in as a whole, so probably that's why they need a separate income.
A lot of people will disagree on that statement, Eugene.
Well, that's a comparison.
Depending on the tax bracket.
Well, even compared to tax bracket, in comparison, you know,
Uh,
I mean,
okay.
I guess if you're not paying taxes, I mean, if you don't like paying taxes, then not everyone's going to agree. But compared to Canada, at least we're not paying like a lot of tax.
Yeah. We pay a lot.
Compared to a lot of
Do
the
you have like different type of taxes? Like I know UK has like value added tax and all that, aside from the income tax.
You good? Talk to my accountant.
Okay.
But yeah, we have brackets and stuff, and
Well,
honestly, it's funny because like we don't even know where the money goes. Like the streets, some of the streets and the roads are terrible. Well, what are
I
we
mean,
doing?
it's the same thing here in the US.
Where's the money
well,
going? And they always say we're in a deficit. We're we're losing money and all this stuff, and we're bankrupt or whatever. I don't know.
okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I think we lost a bunch of
This
money
is
too. But
this is a big
yeah, it's off
topic. This could
topic.
be this could be
yeah,
this could be a whole another that completely irrelevant to
uh,
photography
yes.
video that we could create. But I mean, the photography podcast we can create. But yeah,
Well, I mean, it goes back to having the permits, right? Like
Yeah.
what, the underlying purpose, right? It could be more than what we think.
it's true.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, in that sense, we
yeah.
probably have to do a lot more research and digging. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but yeah, hopefully there'll be more people who are carrying the protecting the environment in national parks, and just trying to make it a little bit more fair. People, like even as a photographer, like I don't mind getting a permit now, just because videographers are paying it. But yeah, that could be a whole another topic.
Okay. Anyone have anything else to add? Any last words to fight your point?
I mean, I guess I'm not
no.
trying to persuade like John
No,
or
I know.
persuade people who are against it, but I'm just saying like what what's the reason behind that I don't mind a permit or I'm for permit side of things. Yeah, I mean if John stays with against being getting the permit.
I'm not really against it. I just want it to be fair. Like just make it make sense. You read the rules, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's just too much gray area,
Yeah,
that things need to be more
I
defined.
understand you want to protect the
But
environment,
So
but
okay, in terms of like, so I made my suggestions. In terms of like your view, what like how would it make fair?
a yearly annual pass, stuff like that.
like not just targeting just YouTubers and
Exactly.
TikTokers, but
Yeah, it should be
everyone.
like, yeah, creatives. Like make it like for creatives, for everyone, photographers and filmers. It just doesn't make sense that you're holding a camera, you're taking photos, and then you switch to video. All of a sudden, you're doing something illegal. That doesn't make sense.
So, but you say you're zoning out the creatives. So, so what you're saying is that that the National Park Services should be charging every visitors. That's what you're saying, or just the creatives?
The national park system is already charging everyone that's visiting. If they wanna charge more because they feel like the creatives are ruining the environment and there's more impact from us, then okay.
But like I said
Make
earlier,
it
like
make it
out of
make
424 units, only 109 are charging. But if we go to 424 units, all the places, we have to get a permit. So not all the visitors are paying, but we still have to pay.
the creatives, photographers, and
Well, photographers don't have to pay right now.
I thought if you're using it commercially, you have to get a permit
For
still.
photography, no. As long as you're not in a sensitive area that's marked off as they usually tape it off, not really a tape, but like they have a thing out. And if you don't go in those places, if you don't cross the a barricade or stuff like that, you can still shoot in national parks. Every national park is different, so like we have to check like if we're going to a certain national parks. But like Yosemite, Death Valley, that's the one that I go to quite often. Grand Canyon, they don't require you to have a permit to do an engagement session, or if you have a wedding, that's a big gathering, so that requires a permit. Yeah, but if you do like an
Yeah, that actually makes sense. And like what I'm saying, like if it's like really a big group, more than
but
five,
what
then
I'm getting confused. But you saying that makes sense, but for videographers, it's not making sense
what
because we
is
have a
not
different
making
rule right now,
sense.
right?
Hmm.
For,
Yeah, for videographers, yeah.
so you want videographers to be just like photographers?
Yeah,
Like I think John's saying if you're just like you and your partner going into a park and you're filming some clips or whatever, you're going to put it on TikTok, like he thinks you don't need a permit for that. Whereas if say you are, a small film crew of 6,
Mm.
he's saying that okay, understandable,
yeah,
like
because
you're going to
most
make
like,
some money, you're going to post it,
and
whatever.
then my point is most likely, like what you're saying, Eugene, they're most likely to impact the environment, right? Because it's a bigger group.
Yeah, so that's why the bigger group, unless they're doing the document like filming a document or stuff like that, there hasn't really been filming at a national park, right?
Gotta go back to the why. Like we're doing this to protect the national park, right? Regular people that are a crew that is less than five. I feel like the impact is the same as a visitor that are coming into the national park system.
So that's what I'm saying. So that if that's the stance that you're taking, then then there shouldn't be a permit, right? They should just increase the entrance fee.
They can do it different ways. Yes, they can increase the entrance fees in general, and then not require permits for a crew of less than five. And then when it's more than that, if it's a commercial like big sets, then they need the permit, and then they need to pay more. That makes sense because that's gonna take up more resources, right? They're gonna need rangers probably assisting them, or but for regular visitors, a visitor that has a camera that wants to take videos and they want to post it on YouTube, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the point that I feel that I think I'm lost is that does everyone feel that's fair? Will everyone be okay with that? I mean, that's the definition of being fair, right?
Well, somewhere someone's gonna say it's not fair. You
Yeah.
can't
That's what I'm
win
saying.
it
Nobody,
all.
That's what
nobody,
I'm saying. Like,
nobody's gonna want to pay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's not gonna have a permit, then it should not have a permit at all. If there should be a permit, then it should be a permit for all.
For everyone that's visiting.
No, as in,
I'm actually okay with that. If everybody's gonna have permit, then I'm actually okay with
well,
it. Because you said
everyone permit
it's
getting a
gonna.
permit is not a permit, right? That's just an entrance fee. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you have to ask for permission, then it is a permit.
Okay, fair.
Maybe in terms of fairness, there's like different tiers of type of permit, like say how many people you're going to have, the purpose you're there for.
Yeah, and
I mean, that's going to have more, you're going to have to go through more
yeah,
process in that
and
sense. But
I feel like you have to base it off of impact on the national park systems, not on like who's gonna profit from which and what.
So, okay, my last
You know.
question. So my premise of me saying that us as a creative, whether photographer or videographers, are damaging more
Mhm.
national parks more than the regular visitors. Do you agree with that, or you don't agree with that?
I don't have the data for that.
I mean, but in your opinion,
My
in your personal opinion,
well, because
well,
my personal opinion. Well, I know myself. If I'm educated, then and I know somebody's watching me. So that's what I'm saying. It's also an enforcement issue. If I know a ranger's watching me, I'm most likely not to break the law. Also, if I'm educated, I know myself. I feel like yeah, it's not worth breaking the law. Why would I break the law? I don't agree with that.
okay, okay.
And it's gonna be it's hard to prove. Like we don't have the data saying that a regular visitor is less impactful to the environment versus the
No,
creatives.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that we are more likely, like as a creative. Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
that's your opinion.
Yeah, it is my opinion. But that's what I'm saying. Like
Okay,
you don't.
and I disagree. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
and I
And
disagree.
so yeah, that's I think probably the where it's the whole
Yeah,
premise of this argument, probably the
yeah,
discussion the
exactly.
have started.
And
Yeah.
exactly, and I feel like it's unfair to just single out the creatives. I feel
See,
like we
that's what I'm
can
saying.
be
Like
as
what you
responsible as
saying,
regular visitors.
like you're singling out, but you're saying you still we still have to have a permit for five or more people crew. But don't you think that's singling out?
There's more likely an impact if there's it's a bigger crew.
So
I don't know if the perfect number is five, but once it's like a big production set, you're using tripods, it's like a bigger crew, then it just makes like
hold on. Don't you
it
think
makes
you're
sense
making
to
the same argument as I am?
not necessarily.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, what your reasoning is, five people or more, is that I'm thinking that all creatives. That's the difference. In your opinion, five or more people, whether that's a five person or not.
Oh yeah, it is my that is my personal
Yeah. So
opinion,
what I'm
but
saying, you and
maybe
my argument is exactly the same. Is that my argument is that the whole creatives will be the same, but you're saying five or more people will be different.
yeah, but it might I'm not even quite sure, but it might be more impactful to the national park systems. That's my that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
So yeah,
Who
so
knows?
we now agree that we.
Maybe the perfect number is 10. I don't know when does it start to be more impactful, but
So yeah, so what I'm
yeah.
saying is now you agree that we are making the same argument. So your reasoning, what I'm saying is your reasoning and my reasoning are exactly the same,
Uh-huh.
but the numbers are different. Mine is that one or more, you're saying five or more.
uh
Being impactful, what I'm
okay,
saying
yeah,
is,
that,
yeah. So
that makes sense. Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm still not sure about this, like if five or more is the right
Yeah,
number.
I know. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's why, because I'm not sure on the
Yeah.
number either.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying like every creative should be, because I'm not sure.
Okay.
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 Okay, Pauline, any questions
Well then,
within
okay.
that?
The reason why we decided on, talking about this is because, I think there's so much that we can talk about, a lot of gray area, especially in this
Yeah.
new law, I guess. And so I think that's why we want to kind of just hash it out, say our piece, what
Yeah.
we think, and see what you guys think as well if you're listening.
And we do all of us cares about the NPS. It's just
Yes, we
yeah,
all, of
it's like
course.
we all like yeah, we just don't
I think,
know.
yeah, the bottom line is we all care about,
Yeah.
the national parks, about nature, of preserving it. And I think what we disagree on is just like how we get there, how we should, police
Yeah.
and I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
regulate
Enforcement,
these
yeah.
things in terms of, preserve and sustain all these parks, because we want to continue to return there and continue to shoot
Enjoy
there
it,
and
yeah.
enjoy it. Yeah, whether that is commercial or for pleasure or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought, yeah, That was fun. Are you guys all heated?
I'm hungry. I'm hungry now.
Okay. That took a lot of energy, yeah. Well, if you guys are still listening, have gotten this far, thank you so much. We had a lot of fun discussing this. I mean, this could have been a hot take, but definitely,
It's a
we
long
knew it was
take.
going to be a little bit
longer
long.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we decided to have its own entire episode. And yeah, you can always find all of our podcasts on all the platforms, from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, on Anchor FM, and you can watch us on Spotify and YouTube. Next week, we're going to talk about something exciting that will be happening, which is WPBI, or Indoor Conferences. And we're going to talk all about that, why, Eugene and John have decided to have attended in the past. And for those who don't know, we're going to talk a little bit more about what it is and, the purpose and why maybe you should go in the future. You guys can try to convince me to go next year. And yeah, I'm going to talk all about conferences, so it's going to be exciting. Thank you so much for listening.
Sounds good. All right.
Stay tuned for next week.
Thank you.